I didn't marry Daniel because he stood out as extraordinary. It wasn't his charm or ambition that drew me in. It was the way he treated me, like I was the center of his universe. I assumed that kind of devotion would last forever, spoiling me indefinitely. That illusion shattered a month ago when an anonymous text arrived with a photo. A man peeling an orange, his hand marked by a jagged scar I'd recognize anywhere. It was Daniel's scar, one I'd traced with my fingers 1,000 times. I grew up as an only child, cushioned by privilege from the moment I could walk. My father, a high-ranking executive at a leading energy corporation, had amassed a fortune that guaranteed I'd never need to lift a finger. Luxury wasn't just a perk, it was my baseline. In university, I watched classmates grind for scholarships worth less than the handbag I carried to class, and I couldn't fathom why they bothered. Later, when I dipped my toe into the working world, I was baffled by people who stayed in soul-crushing jobs. Didn't happiness trump everything else? I met Daniel at a renewable energy conference, where I was a junior liaison for my father's company. He managed corporate sponsorships, exuding quiet confidence in a sharp blazer. During a break, I shared an elevator with a famous environmental scientist, Dr. Elena Carter. The other passengers swarmed her, desperate for a handshake or a business card. I stayed still, hands clasped, unbothered. If I wanted to meet Dr. Carter, my father could arrange a private dinner by sundown. Why scramble like the rest? Afterward, Daniel approached me. "For a second, I thought you weren't in this field," he said, his hazel eyes crinkling with a warm smile. "In the elevator, you didn't even blink when Dr. Carter walked in." I shrugged. "Should I have?" He laughed, handing me his card, Daniel Pierce, sponsorship lead, and asked for my number. That's how it began. Daniel was the boyfriend I dreamed of. He tracked my schedule better than I did, tucking herbal teas and dark chocolate into my purse before I even realized I needed them. He'd trail me through boutique after boutique, offering thoughtful feedback on every dress I tried, never once complaining. He even sent my parents artisanal gift baskets, winning them over effortlessly. Or so I thought. My father's smile tightened whenever Daniel visited, though he brushed it off when I asked. "Just hard to see my little girl growing up," he'd say. I'd hug him and laugh it off. We married 2 years later in a quiet, elegant ceremony. Guests murmured that I, Lila Grayson, could have aimed higher than a mid-level manager. I didn't care. Daniel's bank account didn't match mine, but his love felt boundless. What did those gossips know about devotion? That certainty crumbled a month ago. After a long day mentoring at a community center, I checked my phone and found a new follower on a private messaging app, a blank profile with no name. A single image loaded, a man peeling an orange, his face obscured, then a message, "Your husband's peeling this for me." The words hit like a slap, smug and sharp. I zoomed in, my breath catching. The scar on his hand, a thin crooked line from a teenage biking accident, was unmistakable. Daniel had once grinned as he told me the story, how he'd crashed into a fence, trying to impress a friend. I'd teased him for weeks about it. Now, that scar mocked me from a stranger's photo. The profile offered no clues, just a silhouette in a gray coat as its icon. I typed, "Who are you?" No reply. My pride, forged by years of never needing to beg, stopped me from sending more. I screenshot the exchange and shut my phone, hands unsteady. I'd built my life on unshakable pillars, doting parents, a thriving mentorship program I ran part-time, and Daniel, my rock. He'd cheer me on when clients were scarce, insisting patience would pay off. How could someone so steady betray me? It was just a photo, circumstantial, flimsy, yet fear gnawed at me. Daniel admired women who were bold, articulate, polished, qualities I didn't possess. I was soft-spoken, reliant on my father's blueprint for my career, prone to petulance when things didn't go my way. What if I wasn't enough? That evening, Daniel texted, "Got us tickets to a jazz concert tonight. Your favorite. I'll pick you up after work." He hated jazz, but always went for me. "Wasn't that love?" I replied, "Sounds perfect, hun." I decided to trust him, pushing the photo to the back of my mind. Usually, Daniel waited in the parking garage, but this time I went outside early, craving his reassurance. When he pulled up, I slid into the passenger seat, beaming. "Hey, sweetie." I grabbed his phone, already linked to the car's system, to set the GP. The venue was across town, a maze during rush hour. We'd been there recently, so I checked his recent destinations. It wasn't listed. Frowning, I dug deeper into the history. There it was, a university campus and a nearby motel, logged days apart. My chest tightened. Daniel was a sponsorship lead. Maybe it was work-related, a meeting, a lunch. But my hands shook as I held the phone, doubt creeping in. He noticed my silence, his scarred hand twitching on the wheel. "Everything okay?" he asked, voice tight. I didn't answer, staring ahead as the city blurred past. Memories flooded back. Times he'd say, "Lila, your optimism keeps me going." His eyes soft. I'd basked in those words, blind to the weariness behind them. Now I wondered if he'd envied my sheltered life, not adored it. At the concert, I smiled through the unease, deciding to confront the stranger. I messaged the blank profile, "Let's meet." Hours later, a reply, "Fine, your office, Thursday, 3 p.m. She knew where I worked. I didn't respond. Thursday morning, I dressed simply. Jeans, a blouse, no fuss. At 3 p.m., a woman strode into my office lobby. She was striking, tall, with auburn hair cascading over a loose sweater. Her presence magnetic, yet unassuming. Daniel's type, I thought bitterly. I greeted her with a polite nod, feigning ignorance, and led her to my office. She sat across from me, radiating defiance. "Lila, I've known about you for ages. Everyone deserves to chase happiness, right?" Her bluntness threw me off. "Who are you?" I asked, unruffled. She paused, then said, "Sophie, I'm 20, a grad student." She launched into a tirade about love's supremacy, how marriage was a relic, how she and I were equals in this mess. Her passion was rehearsed, her eyes blazing with conviction. I didn't argue. Instead, I dropped my pen, bending to pick it up, a trick to derail her momentum. "Are you a Pisces?" I asked casually as I sat up. She blinked, startled. "Yeah, how'd you know?" I smiled faintly. "Just a hunch. I used to be a romantic too. Thought love conquered all. Daniel showed me otherwise." She bristled at my calm, snapping, "Why not let him go? Stop torturing us all." Then she cried, tears streaking her face, her vulnerability disarming. She was the kind of fragile beauty men rush to save. I reached for a tissue, but her next words froze me. "You barely even sleep together anymore. He's miserable with you." A week ago, Daniel and I had celebrated our anniversary with a weekend getaway. Playful, passionate, alive. Had he been imagining her? "What do you see in him?" I asked, voice steady. Sophie softened, recounting their meeting at a rooftop party. Him leaning against a railing, aloof, a glass of whiskey in hand. She'd been drawn to his quiet intensity, the way he'd escorted her home after, insisting she text when she was safe. The gestures she described, tea during her cramps, shielding her in crowds, mirrored my life with him. I'd thought they were special. Now they felt like a playbook. "Did you see his ring?" I asked. She faltered. "He said your marriage was dead, that he'd leave when your dad's business stabilized. My father's company was thriving." Another lie. "I can't lose him," she pleaded. I leaned back. "Promise me 3 things. If you still want him after, I'll step aside." Quietly. She hesitated, then nodded. First, I had her meet Daniel the day a fake client report arrived at his office, instructing her to check his bag. He came home rattled, handing me the crumpled papers when I asked. I messaged Sophie. "What did he say?" She replied, "That your dad's company's tanking." I believed him. I didn't respond. Second, I gave her forged documents, a positive pregnancy test, medical records. She told Daniel she was pregnant. I listened via the hidden recorder in a gift bag of baby socks. His response was cold. "Are you sure? You're too young for this." She pressed, "Marry me." He dodged, "I'll think about it," and left. She sobbed alone. Third, I told her to ask for a $15,000 loan for an abortion and her sister's surgery. He promised to help, then ghosted her. She showed up at my office, bruised and frantic. He pushed me last night, said I ruined everything. I showed her his accounts, millions untouched. She broke down, hope extinguished. At my father's birthday dinner, Sophie crashed, demanding $80,000. Daniel denied knowing her, shoving her. My father stepped in, voice like steel. Is this true? Daniel crumpled, begging my forgiveness. I stood calm. We're done. He groveled, but my father kicked him away. You'll get nothing from us. Sophie graduated soon after. I sent her a check, $80,000. She protested. I insisted. Daniel tried crawling back once, arms full of pastries. I had him removed. My mentorship program tripled in size that year, and I found peace in my own strength. The future felt mine alone.
If this story hit you as hard as it did us, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tales of betrayal, truth, and triumph. We're dying to know. Have you ever faced a moment that flipped your world upside down like that photo did for Lila? Or maybe you've outsmarted a lie like she did? Drop it in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else. Let's keep this conversation going.